People who work for the super wealthy, what stuff have you seen? Had a client who purchased a newly built penthouse apartment and wanted a jacuzzi on the balcony. It would have meant a structural column was needed in the middle of the balcony below which the contractor who built the apartment block wouldn't go for as it would impact selling that apartment. Client buys the apartment below, approves the column, jacuzzi is installed, then privately sells the apartment below. Voila, problem solved. The owner of my company had a customer pay off a giant debt by signing over a yacht to him. When he went to the marina to get the storage info transferred to his name and saw how much it cost to store the yacht there, he bought the marina. The CEO of the company I worked for was the founder's son. Not an unintelligent guy for the most part. His dad made him start with the most basic jobs in the company and work his way through the different departments. Managerial staff was ordered, upon penalty of termination, not to treat them any differently than a new hire. So when he became CEO, he wasn't a bad guy to work for. Now, this is a company of over 10,000. One night, I'm working overtime on the late shift and we get this call. Hey, you guys got electrician? The guy is clearly drunk. We have no idea who it is or why he's calling our maintenance engineering group. We ask who he is and he informs us, lightheartedly. He wants someone to take a ride to his house and figure out why the internet isn't working. This is an hour drive away. I volunteer, I was bored off my nut anyway. I get to the house, entry gate is smashed, section of the white horse fencing is gone, Jaguar is stuck in the field. Here in the house is dude, completely blasted. He's got a huge cut on his hairline. Are you okay, boss? I'm fine. Why? He asks, blood literally caked on his face. I accompany him to the bathroom and help him clean himself up, wash off the gash and put some bandaging on it. Then I corrected the internet. Unplug plug. As I'm walking out, he asks me to do a shot with him. I comment, worried about my job, that it might be a bad idea. He agrees and hands me the bottle, take it home and do a shot later. Keep it. When I get back to work I look the stuff up. Never heard of it. It's a $1,500 bottle of scotch. The next day I'm at work early. About 11 in the morning he comes walking up. Oh. We're not going to be talking about last night? I tell him it's all good, awesome. A little bit later I get an envelope. There's a check attached for emergency tech support, $5,000. I did a male nanny, job for a rich couple who wanted someone to care for their kids. The wife didn't want a female nanny and I was in college so it helped pay the bills. One day they asked, do you want to go to Hawaii? Turns out the company that the husband was the COO of was doing an executive retreat in Hawaii. Instead of finding daycare in Hawaii for their kids, they thought it'd be easier to just pay for me to fly to Hawaii, care for the kids during the day, and then have my evenings or their family time free. So I went to Hawaii on their dime, had my own hotel room, they paid me for my time and gave me a large stipend for my own food, entertainment. I ended up with pretty much every evening off so I got to spend it. During the day I brought their kids to the beach, we went hiking, and did some touristy running around. On top of that they gave me $5,000 in spending money, in case any of the kids wanted anything. I had to show receipts, but when I tried to turn in the receipts the wife just said, oh don't worry about it, it's only a couple grand, and never verified how I'd spent some of that money. I couldn't tell if she just trusted me implicitly by that point or if she truly thought the amount was so small it didn't matter. They were a really nice family, just very well off, which made just spending money on any problems the easiest answer. I actually got invited to the oldest daughter's high school graduation because she considered me a friend. Worked in recruitment finding crew for super yachts many years ago. Put forward a candidate for a chief engineer on a very well-known yacht owned by a very well-known individual. Was the perfect fit of knowledge and experience, and the guy was super friendly and nicey as well. They turned him down because he wears glasses and the owner doesn't want anyone with disabilities working on board. Edit. I didn't expect this to get so much attention. To answer a few things that keep popping up. Why didn't I tell the candidate so you could sue with them? Is that even legal? I had signed various NDAs so I would have been destroyed. I was told this over the phone so there was no proof. They have a whole company of lawyers. If the candidate did decide to sue he would have failed. The yacht industry is small, especially at the top end. It would have been the end of both of our careers. Neither of us would have worked in the industry again. They were registered under a different country's flag, so would have made it even more difficult. They could have paid for LASIK? This was over a decade ago, maybe 2. Yes, it was probably still available, but why the hell would they? It was one of the top jobs in the industry at the time, and they could have anyone they wanted. Why waste the money when they can get someone else that has the right knowledge, experience, and fits their requirements? Why don't I name them? Lol UCK no. Even though it was a very long time ago and I have nothing to do with the industry anymore, I do not want to UCK with these people. Did appliance repair. One lady had a 10 by 12 walk-in wine cooler. Floor to ceiling stocked with wine. In her living room. Another person's house was made of imported stone and had a library the size of 2-car garage. My favorite was an old lady who just had nice stuff. She took care of what she had. Every time I went, she gave me $40 for a nice beer with your lady. I would always refuse, but she insisted and was basically the typical granny everyone would want. Not the craziest thing, but wild to me. I was working for a kind of well-off family during the summer. I went inside to get a drink and the mom was cleaning the kitchen, putting things away and such. She picks up a MacBook and says to me, "Hey, do you want this?" No one uses it. Got a brand new MacBook for college. Redid a lady's shower one time during the middle of a nasty divorce. The shower was 6 feet x 10, with the entire ceiling covered in shower heads. Since he was off with half the office, I figured I'd get the other half all in here. Lady was a baller, minus $500 tip for everyone who worked on that bathroom because it was her ex's money. Edit. We redid the glass to her shower when I was at a glass shop. How the actual plumbing and stuff worked is beyond me. My job was to bring in giant panes of glass, attach them to the wall, floors, waterproof the seals, and dip. With how large her house was and the other 2, smaller, houses that were attached, I'm sure she had enough money to throw at someone to solve those plumbing problems. Their kids are all kinds of screwed up. Turns out money can't replace an emotionally available parent. Their kids, all young 20s, never shut the door when using the bathroom. Plenty times while cleaning the house, I'd walk past the bathroom and see one of their daughters on the can. They'd often wave or say hi. And odd. Never work for millionaires. They're just trying to prove something. Work for billionaires. They know what they want and will just pay what it costs to get it right. A caretaker getting paid 6 American figures for keeping up a multi-million-dollar house that gets used 2 weeks a year. I was the project manager for a mansion build for one of the founders of a major health insurance company here in the US. This guy was one of, if not the, best billionaire I've ever worked for. He showed up nearly every day in shorts and flip-flops and would treat all of us like equals. This was around the time that President Obama was about to put out Obamacare. I was in a meeting with the owner and President Obama called him on Hissel to discuss the plan. He, the owner, tells us to hold on, the president is calling. To which someone jokingly made a comment about, thinking he was joking. The owner asks Obama to say hi to the team, and he did. It was surreal to be at the table with him when the call came through. And an experience I will never forget. Edit. He was a founder but sold his shares prior to Obama becoming president, and was in retirement, working on passion projects. Not an active member of the company. I'm not going to disclose his name for NDA purposes. I will say that his story is pretty all-American. Did not come from money. Served in Vietnam and started out as an insurance salesman. Built his own company up from that. My bro worked on a super yacht. Quit the day he saw a 14-year-old take a massive hit on the deck and tell him to clean it up. I briefly cleaned houses one summer and these houses were insane. Some had elevators. Some had stalls in their master bathroom. Edit. Corrected from bedroom. One had a literal cave manufactured in the bathroom, with shower heads all throughout it. You could walk from one end and come out the other side of the bathroom, split by a massive hot tub. What struck me as odd, in almost every house, was the sense of disuse. They had grand pianos covered in dust. Expensive lamps and throw pillows with the tags still on them. Sprawling playrooms with every toy any child could want, totally devoid of playing children. The weirdest house I cleaned, though, wasn't huge, and it wasn't gorgeous. It was pretty normal on the outside. But inside, the entire house was filled with piles of clothes. Everywhere. I pulled aside my fellow cleaner and asked, with all sincerity, how to clean this house. She told me to go around the piles as best you can. They had a mountain of clothes in the living room, like something out of a cartoon. Every couch had stacks of brand new clothes with tags on them. They were the only folded clothes anywhere. In the bedroom it was the same. Smaller piles in every corner, couldn't fully open or close doors around them. The kids' bathroom didn't even have a shower curtain. Best guess after cleaning, that house as best we could, is that they don't wash clothes. I think they just buy more and discard the dirty clothes into the piles. I think about that house a lot and wonder if they ever got their hit together. Edit to add. It was like metal bathroom stall cubicles. And the elevators and stalls did not seem related to accessibility. My apologies for any misunderstanding. My brother-in-law builds custom homes in the redneck Riviera belt of Florida. One day, he called me to come over to this $15 beach house he was doing a complete remodel of. He was the original builder. He asked me to bring my truck and trailer. I show up, and he walks me through all 4 floors. He then says, the owners have removed all the stuff they want to keep. She has told me to dispose of everything as I see fit. Get what you want. Furniture, appliances, outdoor furniture, rugs, lamps, artwork, you name it. I don't know the value of everything I took home with me that day, but it was the highest end stuff I've ever seen. 4 floors of it, and I only got 1 trailer load because I simply couldn't fit anything else in my house. I likely had over $20,000 worth of furniture and appliances on that trailer. I moved the guy that created eBay. He had Aretha Franklin's grand piano, played it, and Elvis Presley's coat, didn't wear it. I worked on a billionaire's home installing his custom pool. He ordered a custom iridescent tile. For the whole pool it cost $440 KUSD for material alone and another $400,000 to install it. We informed him that it was a special order and couldn't be changed once ordered. He approved. We installed it. Walks out, it looks amazing. All the people working on it thought so. Says he doesn't like it, tear it out and replace it. All told, he blew like $2.4 million on his pool tile before he got done. Ucker didn't bat an eye at it. Pool pictures of the pool since everyone was asking. Edit 2. Also worked on a house in that same area that had 250,000 Australian dollars fish tank. Can't share pictures of that cause it was in someone's house, but still. Edit 3. For scale. The boat in the pictures behind the pool is 90 feet long. Years ago I used to work carpentry, mainly doing sunrooms. One of our clients was a brain surgeon who was married to a lawyer, and they subsequently had a massive house on a large property. Their son was also some type of neuroscientist and with his parents' permission, had yet another massive house built on this same property. Problem is, city ordinances prohibit 2 separate livable dwellings on the same property. Mind you, these houses were about a quarter mile away from each other. So to comply with the ordinances, they build a ucking wall between THEHOUSES. And this isn't just some dinky picket fence type of wall. It's a massive medieval-style wall that has round towers with merlins and crenels, a gym midway through, and a massive $750,000 plus all-glass sunroom, all the while being wide enough to have room for a walking path and a road for golf carts. Inside the wall, the city ordinance said only 1 livable dwelling can be on their property, so they just made a massive hallway between their houses. Edit. I was able to find the video I took from years ago on my computer when we were on the job site scouting it out. My memory wasn't exactly correct, but this gives you a good look at what it looked like. The steel structure you see near the end is where the sunroom was going to go. All we were providing was the glass. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=05k6g8 at 2j. I had a client gamble away $220,000 in one night. I did carpentry for a summer to save up money for school. We would go to huge mansions and amazing houses that needed work done. Usually easy stuff, decorative things, so most times it would be 1 to 2 days of work. Most times we would work, the family would be home. It's not a problem, very normal. Once a family had kids and they watched a TikTok video on what poor people eat, and it was about how to cook things like 10-cent ramen and bread with sausages to make hot dogs. They laughed and thought it was fun, so made the food to try in the kitchen. They hated it all. This was the food I grew up eating my whole life. That packet of ramen was the same as the dinner waiting for me at home. My friend is a mechanic. A wealthy, fat, famous and all-round unlikable entrepreneur came into his work one day and took a liking to his coworker. He asked my friend's coworker to come and work for him maintaining his car collection. It was really good pay and he got to work on some cool cars, so he thought why not. His days were spent working on old, rare sports cars on his sprawling property, but every now and again he'd get sent to Europe or the United States to check out cars said entrepreneur was interested buying. He'd get sent to auctions all the time, andering up said entrepreneur while it was happening so he could bid on the car on his behalf. Edit, not Jay Leno. If you can figure out the country I'm in, you'll 100% know who it is. Not Clarkson either. Yep, It was Clive. I've done side IT work for various CEOs dozens of times over the years, and there's always common threads. It's always been male CEOs, and they genuinely seem relieved to have someone in their house that isn't trying to negotiate or weasel something from them. They'll sit and talk with me, ask my career plans, how I got into the field, that kind of thing. The wives of said CEOs are all eerily similar. Lots of makeup, very strong opinions, very cold, and very standoffish. The garage always has at least one classic car, one sports car, and one car lift. There is always a golf cart on the property. The kids' rooms are always a mess. One guy was in an 18-plus room mansion and his teen son had a mattress in the floor with clothes piled up everywhere. He had to hook up some wiring in there and it smelled like his foot was in my face. If there's a dog or cat in the house, it's the most well-groomed animal you've ever seen. They always have a van service to come out once a week or so for grooming. Any mess will be blamed on the cleaning lady. She either hasn't come or missed something. Even though I didn't notice a mess in the first place. They tend to have the best of everything from stores, vendors you don't normally see. One CEO had a custom German sound system installed in his game room, which featured a bar, a snack bar, theater, seating, cafe tables, and 2 fridges. The interface on his entertainment system was also custom made and all the TVs in the house used the same interface. I've seen a glimpse of very sexy lingerie, leather straps, and chains hanging in closets. Freaky stuff happens. I'll always get an invite to go on a boat ride, plane ride, golf trip, whatever they're into. These invites aren't real. I think they do it to remind you they have toys. That's all I can think of for now. AMA might jog me memory. I am a dentist and used to own a dental office in an extremely wealthy area. I feel like really rich people come in 2 flavors, very humble and generous or just 100% a hole. Most are the a-hole. Not much in the middle. True wealthy people care a lot about time, not money. If there was any hiccup in a procedure or something wasn't correct, they would flip out. 99% of the issues they would flip out about I could fix, but that meant they had to make another dentist appointment, which wasted their time. I hated working on rich people. Best day of my life is when I sold that dental office. I worked at a house in which both father and mother were so busy making money in order to give their children a better quality of life that the eldest son who was at my school joined a gang. That guy didn't lack money, but he lacked empathy, love for other people, respect towards others, control of emotions. I used to work at a members-only golf country club. There were members who had been actors, athletes, race car drivers, former CEO of Google, some major money and egos going on. There was one family that had 3 teenage kids, 2 girls and a boy. The mom and the girls were very attractive and knew it. They always looked amazing and had overly entitled attitudes to match. They were fancy. Well, the lady who washed the linens for the county club also did house cleaning for some members. This family was one of them. She said their multi-million-dollar home was a disaster filth zone. They basically did no housework in between having the cleaning lady there. Dishes piled with dried food that smelled, dirty clothes thrown everywhere, piles of wrap all over, sticky floors, dog goop left on the floor. But the nastiest part was the bathrooms. She said they wouldn't empty their bathroom trashes and the ladies of the house would throw their used tampons on top of overflowing trash, so she had to pick up their used women's products thrown on the floor, not even wrapped in paper. So these fancy itches would walk around the club like they were so superior and look down on everyone, then would go home and act like wild apes throwing their trash and period products on the ground. The thought of being so out of touch that you decide it is beneath you to even be sanitary BC, you can just pay someone to do that for you, is just beyond insanity. Had a client come into our 3D printing office. His attention was immediately caught by a large industrial 3D printer in our showroom. Pulled out a credit card and bought a $250,000 machine on the spot. Best part was when we installed the machine at his facility. First thing he wanted to print was a meter Talanese. Few weeks after the install, we got a photo of him standing next to the meter Enos. Money well spent. I used to clean their super yachts, many years ago. They are drug addicts, so many drugs. Back then I was young and happily consumed their leftovers. I'll change a few details to protect the innocent, but I used to give guitar lessons in a very rich area and the company I worked for had a lot of celebrity and or just ridiculously rich clients. I saw in-home rivers, elevators, waterfalls, live-in chefs, 40-car garages, fully automated mansions that could change the season, indoors, etc. The thing that stood out most to me was the boredom of humanity. Like one guy the first became friends with had 17 off-road vehicles, a house bigger than his Laker star neighbor, and his Chicago Bull star neighbor for that matter, and traveled to different extreme game competitions every weekend. But when I came over for the lesson, he just wanted to talk about Nirvana, watch TV, learn Pearl Jam, bass riffs, and go to shows. The second thing that stood out to me was that the ratio of cool people to screwed up people seemed relatively the same between the super rich and the normies. Like there was one guy who wanted lessons with his very young son to connect with him, but only lasted 3 minutes every lesson before he had to take an important call or run off to an emergency board meeting. You could see the kid was in a giant playground of a mansion but was just crushed. However, I also gave lessons to a family where the parents were two high-powered lawyers, one of whom is now running for Congress, and they were absolutely amazing to those kids. Always attentive, would drop calls from celeb clients to fix atricycle wheel, would lovingly enforce homework, rules, etc. Great people. That was about the same ratio amongst my middle-class clients and amongst my poor clients. The last thing that stood out as the one really obvious advantage to being rich was the people's physical appearance. By and large, they were almost all very good-looking people at any age, and most without surgery. It's actually kind of incredible what the body can do when you're able to always feed it healthy foods, live in chefs, exercise whenever you want in a variety of ways with or without leaving your home, in mansion gyms, indoor-outdoor multi-tiered waterfall pools, week-long skiing trips, personal trainers, etc., and the lack of daily, grinding mental stress. I'm not saying they didn't have stress or they didn't work hard, but most did not have that existential stress about what might happen if they got fired because they didn't work the extra Saturday, or the stress of a boss breathing down your neck when you're at a dead-end job just hoping for a living wage. There is something to be said for the mental benefit of hope and joy and inner calm, and unfortunately, money does help with those things. So I did see a large health benefit to people with loads of money also. And lastly, I don't believe any of these people were self-made. This type of wealth is not just working hard and climbing the corporate ladder using nothing but your bootstraps. This type of money is generational wealth with decades-long investment accounts from things set up by ancestors. I'm not saying they haven't worked hard, but turning $100 into $1,000 and turning $100 million into $110 million are two very different things, and the latter is inarguably easier from both a percentage and opportunity standpoint. I did pest control for the CEO of a pretty big candy company. Dude had cases and cases of gummy bears in his basement. Like enough to fill a small U-Haul. My sister is a butler for a super wealthy family. She told me a couple crazy stories. The family once got this super expensive rare breed cat, and a few months later the wife tells my sister she can't feel the cat isn't quite happy in their house, so she asks her to take their private jet to drop the cat off in their mansion on Lake Como, Italy, so it could spend a holiday in the sun. That same woman would then sometimes berate my sister for buying soap in plastic dispensers instead of just soap bars because it's bad for our planet. They bought this insanely huge super luxurious cabin in one of the most expensive ski stations in Switzerland. They realized the cabin, more like a mansion really, right next to theirs was for sale and then bought that one as well just so they wouldn't have close neighbors.